love you. All the good times we had, I wish I could repeat them for the past 3 months. Love and feeling a little feeble. What's good, everyone? What's good, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today, the incredible story of my Kanye West album. I'm trying to hold up. I think I know the name of it, but it's Twisted Fantasy. And I'm not about to quote. I never quote if I don't know. I don't. That's very disrespectful to me. My beautiful dark twisted fantasy. Yes. I was thinking something else. It's like my black dark twisted fantasy. I was like, oh no. It's my beautiful dark twisted fantasy. I knew. Okay. That being said, cover art. Let's get behind the cover art. I was always intrigued about the cover art. It says a lot, but I don't understand it. So let's get behind of understanding it. Shout out to my boy. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how to say the name. I'm not gonna try. Oh, that's harder. Hit Mike. I'm tripping. Today guest, we got Lego sushi. Can't go wrong with it. Let's get into the video.
Spring of 2009, George Kondo, a visual artist from New York City, received a mysterious call from Honolulu, halfway across the world. It was coming straight from Kanye West, who, while holed up on an island in the middle of the ocean to finish his next masterpiece, decided that Kondo was the only one who could design the album's cover. Up until this point, Kondo had been no slouch. He'd been working with New York City's most iconic artists for years: Andy Warhol, Keith Haring, Jacques Chirac, Jean-Michel Basquiat, to name just a few. Basically, people knew who he was. His own art style, simulated realism, was developed in an effort to join academic European painting with 20th century pop art, and his paintings had been displayed extensively at prestigious galleries in the US and Europe since the 1980s. Renowned art dealer Adam Lindemann wrote that, along with Basquiat and Keith Haring, Kondo was instrumental in the international revival of painting throughout the 80s. But back to 2009 and the phone call from Hawaii. At 56 years old, Kondo wasn't particularly familiar with modern hip-hop, so Kanye's music was a new concept. But breaking artistic boundaries wasn't, and their collaboration would result in 5 of the greatest album covers of all time. But first, let's talk about the music. As every fan of Kanye already knows, the late 2000s were a dark time in his career. Following an album that somewhat...
By the way, man, I'm gonna get that mic that you have. I'm gonna get one of those. Give me a month from this video. I'm gonna get one of those mics. I'm not gonna have this Blue Yeti mic. I love it, but I'm gonna keep upgrading. I'm gonna keep going. Listen.
Somewhat disappointed fans at first, and the death of his mother not 2 years earlier, Kanye stole the mic from Taylor Swift during the VMAs in an awkward moment that could be heard around the world and would stain his career forever. His planned 808s and Heartbreak tour with Lady Gaga was suddenly cancelled. He was public enemy #1 overnight. He needed something big, something huge to come back from this, so he collected some of the biggest names in music, holed himself up in Hawaii, and emerged from the studio with arguably the best album of the entire decade. Dark Twisted Fantasy tells a grandiose story. It details the dark side of consumer culture, race relations, and the American dream. Alone, this album is a spectacular show of exactly why Kanye is considered one of the greatest living artists. Grand excess, beautiful production, and deeply human themes of success and failure together. But with George Kondo's help, the album's cover is equal in quality and in theme to the music, and honestly, I want to say it wouldn't be the same without it. George Kondo produced 8 paintings during the summer he worked with Kanye, and 5 were chosen to be included for the album. Kanye visited his studio 10 times, and each time he went, they would listen to songs from the project and come up with concepts. Each artwork tells a story and has a unique theme, ranging from religious to spiritual, with some even taking inspiration from Shakespearean motifs. Let's get into it. Number 1, Kanye and his Phoenix. A grotesque, naked Kanye West relaxes on a couch with a beer in his hand. A naked, armless woman sits on his lap, complete with wings, a tail, and fearsome facial features. George Kondo says she's kind of a fragment between a sphinx, a phoenix, a haunting ghost, and a harpy. And then Kanye is also in some sort of strange 1970s burned out backroom of a Chicago blues club having a beer, so far away from the real Kanye that it's just just a scream. Kanye loved it and it became the primary cover of the record, although you may not recognize it in such high definition. It was censored by every single music streaming service, so this is probably the version you've seen most of the time. This wasn't an accident. Kanye actually specifically requested that Kondo make sure one of the covers would be banned by retailers. A month before the album was released, Kanye tweeted that Walmart had banned his record from being sold due to the inappropriate cover. Walmart responded by saying they were looking forward to having his record in stores and they hadn't been shown any art yet, proving that Kanye is once again a master of publicity. Number 2, the dancer. A ballerina in a black dress stands away from the viewer, but turns around to look to the side. She's holding a glass of wine as if to make a toast. When some retailers did refuse to sell the record with the original cover, this was sometimes substituted instead, making it the record's second most well-known cover. At one point during Kondo and Kanye's listening sessions, they were listening to Runaway when Kondo's wife showed Kanye a video of a ballerina moving in slow motion, which Kanye latched onto. Ballerinas would later become a central visual motif for the record's short film. Kondo says the ballerina's glass is a reference to Runaway's chorus, which suggests toasting Kanye's various enemies. Number 3, the sword. A sword pierces Kanye's crowned, decapitated head. His face is frozen in a permanent look of shock and anger. With this painting, Kondo wanted to depict a Shakespearean scene, and consistent with his personal style, he mixed cubism and classicism to do so. The Shakespeare influence came from where Kanye was at this point in his public life. He wanted to depict Kanye's tragic character arc, the king in a self-imposed exile. This painting was Kanye's Twitter avatar for a long time, so it's probably the third most well-known of all the paintings. Number 4 and 5, 2 screaming faces, one with 4 mouths, the other with 3. They're portraits of Kanye, once again in the Cubist style. This one comes from Kanye's very first visit to Kondo's studio, where he played Power. Kondo heard the King Crimson sample and immediately knew he wanted to paint a portrait. The portrait clearly takes inspiration from the cover art for King Crimson's 1969 album, In the Court of the Crimson King. Kondo describes the painting like this: like an African mask with almost a modern face. I wanted to get the feeling that he's like a Miles Davis type of guy. Dark Twisted Fantasy and its album covers are perfect examples of how cover art can elevate a record. If Dark Twisted Fantasy didn't have such iconic cover art, would it still be such an iconic album? Would it be able to stand the test of time if it looked like every other hip-hop record? It certainly doesn't sound like any other hip-hop record, and it takes someone with a vision as powerful as Kanye to curate a whole experience like this, where every single piece of the project is big, impactful, emotional, and worth examining. There may be artists who get more views and streams than Kanye, but almost no one could ever compete when it comes to the amount of detail he puts into his work. His best album, the best album of our time, has not one amazing, detailed, meaningful cover, but 5 separate ones, all carefully designed and painted by one of the greatest painters alive. Because just as we talked about before with the cover art for Kids See Ghosts, when it comes to Kanye's art, nothing will do but the very best. This has been Volksgeist. Thank you for watching.
That's good to know. That is good to know. If you look right here, if y'all can possibly see, it's blurred out. So I get where they coming from. I just never knew what that shit was. It kind of looked a little scary, but when he was saying like a modern day African mask, I get it. I really do. Let's just say Kanye West. One thing I don't like about, what the media do, 'cause I feel like I keep burping. It's weird. One thing I don't like about what the media does when it comes to Kanye West, people will tear him down, even my own people. But I feel like let him do whatever. It doesn't make sense to us. It won't make sense to us until he let it make sense to us. Kanye, it's like thinkers like Kanye West, people like Kanye West, people that think on him for themselves, like crazy, think for themselves. It won't make sense to you until you let them do what they do. Same thing with Tyler Creator. Some of the shit he does doesn't make sense until he explains it. Same thing with Jaden Smith. Some of the shit he does doesn't make sense until he explains it. I remember one time I heard Jaden Smith say, just turn your phone off and look outside. And people was confused. What the fuck he talking about? Turn your phone off and look outside. What do you see? When I look outside, it looks beautiful to me. Look on the ground, you see trash. When's the last time you put your feet in some grass? Some real grass. Like in the woods type grass. Not your backyard. That's not where you stay. Like in woods type grass. Just think about it, man. Shit like that, you have to think. Kanye West is a genius. You have to think. Let him be him. We can hate on him, but when he dies, he gonna have so much stuff coming out where it's like lost for words. That's all I'll say. That being said, be sure to like, subscribe. Shout out to Kanye West. I like this album. I like the actual movie. Technically, my favorite song from the album was what you call it, Runaway. And what you call it, Gorgeous, when Raekwon was rapping. Oh my God, Jesus. And yeah, that being said, stay tuned to the next video. And peace. Mario the poet.